Okay, Dungeon Meshi then. I accidentally recorded like the first 10 minutes of this episode, like the first 10 minutes of the Dungeon Meshi episode reaction, um, without recording. Well, the actual thing that happened is I got a text message I had to respond to, and then just out of instinct I clicked stop recording, and then I just went back to talking and watching the episode without realizing that I had stopped the recording. So doing it over again. Let's do another take on this. So, Dungeon Meshi. Let's watch the next of the episodes. And if you haven't been along to one of these watch-alongs before, the way it works is you and I are sitting on our metaphorical couches next to each other. Each of us have our own laptops, and we have our own copy of the episode. We're watching it in sync. We press play together and we pause together. And every once in a while, me being the yappy bastard that I am will be like, ooh, I need to talk to you about something that happens in this episode. So I'll say 3, 2, 1. Pause. We both pause at the same time. I do my yapping, and then we return to the point where we just were, and then I say 3, 2, 1, go. And in that way, you and I stay in sync and we watch the episode together. That's the way that this works. Inconvenient for you, but convenient for me, and that's the thing that matters more. So, let's watch, and in my case, rewatch the first bit of this episode, and then afterwards the rest of it. All the way back to 0, I have a little bit of tolerance built in to accommodate for the Netflix logo thing. And 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, oh, oh! There's something squirrely going on with the rhythm in that section. That din 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 din, like something squirrely going on. About I don't know how to count it, but someone who knows music theory, do the counting for me and tell me what it is in the comments. The chick chicka. Nye. Lio's about to float through the air towards a delicious pie cooling on a windowsill. Cat on your chest. I know the feeling. God, I want breakfast prepared by Senshi. The little detail of Yad looking at them eating with like a sense of longing, right? Senshi again with this complete inability to stop taking care of people, right? As a court jester of all things. Oh, hey, look at that book. Huh, that's kind of like this other elf I know. There's this other elf who's like obsessed with immortality. Or mortality, more specifically. The other thing about Yad, the eyes, right? The blankness in his pupils. Might he now? But yeah, the blank eyes, right? Like, which is a sort of classic signifier of like exhaustion or a loss of vitality. We'll be talking more about eyes in a little bit. Well, in just a moment, actually. Hey, look, something weird about his eyes. A little hourglass slash infinity symbol. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. 3, 2, 1. Pause. This shot. That's foreshadowing. This shot right here. And it's not foreshadowing in any specific way about like a certain thing that's going to happen. It's tonal foreshadowing. That we get this particular shot of like Senshi sitting there, very like far in the frame, dark in shadow, while Chilchuck is like very much highlighted in light, sort of blurred out of frame, and with his hands tensed like this, right? Like knuckles clenched like that. It's tonal foreshadowing. Um, it shifts the mood of the character's performance just a little bit, and sort of lets you know, oh, okay, like if you're paying attention to it, if you're sensitive to it, it's like, oh, this character is being framed differently in camera all of a sudden, in kind of a more dramatic way, actually. I wonder if that means something. And it certainly does. 3, 2, 1, go. Well, you seem excited about that, Marcel. I would trust Lyles on identifying monsters by silhouette. Sungwon Cho is doing a fantastic job as Senshi here as well. Well, has he never seen it? Laios, not now. It's just this disaster lesbian. It's like, I thought it was my girlfriend, but it wasn't, so I'm gonna kill it! 3, 2, 1, pause. So, remember how we talked about eyes, right? Anime, in specifically the way that it stylizes eyes, is like a huge part. Like, well, okay, let's take it from the top. Eyes are an incredibly important part of human expression, right? Like, as human beings, just our brains are hardwired to look for faces and to look for eyes in particular as a guide to understand a person's disposition, right? Like, we look for the eyes in order to understand how a person is feeling at any given moment. It's where the stereotype comes from, like, eyes are the window to the soul and so on. It comes from the fact that we get so much information about who a person is, what they're like, how they're feeling, what they want, what their affect is from the state of their eyes, right? And anime uses that fact extensively in the way that it represents, like, emotional states in characters. So we talked about with Yad, right? That Yad most of the time has these very blank, sort of featureless eyes with basically no visible pupil in them, which is like a classic sort of anime stylization that indicates this character is, like, it's used in many ways. Like, oftentimes it's that character is hypnotized, or character is tired, or they're depressed or broken, or like they're completely, like, absent in some way, but it's generally a way to show that someone is sort of absent from the world a little bit, right? Like, it's a way to show a form of exhaustion or sadness or a lack of spark, right? A lack of life. Compare and contrast with your classic sort of magical girl anime protagonist who has 100, like, giant eyes with 100 million sparkles in them. Like, the eyes are absolutely chock full of life, right? Like, compare and contrast, like, the way that stylization changes the way that you perceive the character, right? I bring it up because Senshi here is having, well, he's clearly having again, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's clearly having a severe emotional episode, right? But he's Senshi. Right? And Senshi as a character is not Marcille, right? Like, when Marcille is emotionally excited about something, she shows it. She jumps up and down, she wiggles, she flaps her hands, she yells, she shouts. Like, she's extremely expressive. Like, a feeling that's inside of her doesn't stay inside of her for very long. She lets it out, she expresses it, like, very loudly and very obviously. That generally, it depends on the situation, but like that's sort of Marcille, right? Like, when she's upset about something, she shows it. When Senshi's upset about something, Griffin. Uh-oh. Remind me what a griffin is? And then as he hears the description, the subtitles are in the way a little bit. As he hears the description, we get this classic anime thing, right? Like, with the shadow over the eyes, where here we can see his expression, and then as he hears, oh, it's like a bird, which is also a lion. Zoop. Like, we get this dark shadow down on the face, hiding his eyes and sort of cutting us off from really seeing his expression, because he's got something going on, right? Like, some kind of emotional process is happening inside of him. And then we get the next clue to it, which is this. It's not a wide angle lens, right? Like people who know cameras, but if it was a real camera, like, pushing in very, very close on a character with a lens that slightly distorts their face a little bit. It's a classic sort of anime, like, you see this in anime all the time, right? Like that straight on shot where the eyes are kind of bulging out to the sides, and that makes the character look like, whoa, right? Which is a typical signifier of, like, this character is feeling fucked up inside. But again, because it's Senshi, we get this extreme close-up shot, but all he's doing physically is just like, he's just vibrating. He's just quivering, right? There's a huge amount of emotion surging through him right now, but he's not letting it out. He's not letting it out. He's looking for a way to not let it out, in fact. He's looking for a way to repress it and to not have to express it in a way that other people can understand. So, we need to catch up to it? No, we don't. And again, Sungwon Cho doing a fantastic job with the voice acting on the character for this scene. And as he's confronted, like, why don't we want to catch up to it? Well, it's just, and then I really like that as an acting choice for him, right? Senshi, confronting a feeling he doesn't want to confront, right? Like, something's happening here. He's facing some kind of fear, some kind of trauma, some kind of something. It's bringing up a lot of emotions in him. He doesn't want to confront them, right? Like, he doesn't want to let them out. He doesn't want to express them. So he's internalizing them. He's trying to repress them really, really hard. And so his physical acting is like just this little uncomfortable wiggle, right? As he's searching for something, anything that he can do in order to avoid having to either express or confront whatever it is that's going on inside of him, right? And so he displaces. Oh, over there, I've never seen that kind of mushroom before. Let's cook it, right? Instantly, he tries to displace what he's feeling towards something else. And how does he try to displace it? By cooking. By turning it into like cooking behavior of like I'm going to cook a meal, right? Like that's the way Senshi kind of deals with his stress. That's how he deals with his frustrations. Like, okay, let's cook a healthy meal for everyone because healthy meals make everything better, right? Like that's how he sort of tries to take back control of his emotional state and redirect the situation so that he doesn't have to proceed down this path where he's being forced to confront something that he really doesn't want to deal with right now, right? And it's very good characterization of him that this is how Senshi deals with this stuff. Like when there's something inside of him that he doesn't really want to express, that he doesn't really want to deal with, how does he displace these feelings, right? Like how does he deal with them? Because like we all have our coping mechanisms, right? Like we all have the ways like we'll take our internal anxieties and angers and project them out onto something else, right? Like some people when they get very, very upset, they'll start aggressively cleaning their apartment, right? Like that's a form of displacement behavior where you take all of this tension with this thing in front of you that you can't resolve and you just sort of try and put it into something else and just like angrily clean things, or you start like exercising or like whatever it is you're doing, you're displacing your emotion into that. For Senshi, the place he displaces his feelings when he can't deal with them is food. Like cook something, make some food for people. Like it's sort of a default response that he sort of goes for when he's searching for some way to distract people or himself or redirect a situation. Just food, we can cook those things, right? Like that's immediately where he goes, and I really like that as a point of characterization from him, right? Like that's his panic button, right? Is when he has this thing he's dealing with that he just doesn't want to deal with. And when it doesn't work, right, like that's when he kind of breaks a bit. And very unusually for him, kind of throws himself around Laios' waist like this, right? It's like, no, it's dangerous. You can't do it. Don't do it. Like, you need to get out of here. Like, need to get away from this thing. And too late. And the Griffin's entrance, by the way, classic anime way to do it, but like just this claw appearing as though out from a pool of darkness and just coming for you. What an effective way to do it. Like, what an effective way to sort of show the suddenness and the menace of this thing, that it's just this thing that emerges out of a shadow out of nowhere. And then, yush, there it is. And we get this wonderful shot, like where they're really previously, right? Like this is what the lighting was before, right? Like there's some shadow, there's some shading on it. We've got Marcial's like little light orb is like the main source of lighting here. So there's like, yeah, but mostly it's flat shading, right? Like mostly it's like we've got some shadows going on in like the major forms of the characters, but not really much along his helmet, not really much along the flesh, like his knuckles and stuff like that. It's not really outlined that heavily, but when the Griffin appears, boom, we get like the full dramatic lighting treatment, right? Like where every bump and every ridge in this thing, all of its volume, just all of it outlined in this like stark, hard shadow, cell shading thing with like multiple levels of like darkness and occlusion and highlighting, like really giving it like the full drama as it is like unveiled, which is like great way to make it scary, right? Like great way to sort of just clarify how big, how scary, how dramatic this thing is, right? Like we're introducing a threat here. This is a good way to introduce the scale of the threat and the drama of the threat as well. And Laios' response just being like, oh, it's so cool, like as it is trying to kill him. I love him. He's so dumb. And also just again, like not beating the allegations, like not that she wants to, but just like the way that some people have looked at Marcel and Fallon and been like, well, they're just friends. They're just friends. Like, well, why are we making a gay? It's just like there's some people who become so defensive about it. It's like, my dude, yes, it can just be a very close friendship, right? It can't just be Marcel also feeling deeply responsible for what has happened to Fallon because it's her fault. In a lot of ways, because she used dark magic, she turned her into like she's part of the reason why Fallon got turned into what she is. Yes, absolutely. That's a big part of it. If you want to, you can have a platonic reading of their relationship, and that can be fun and good and interesting and meaningful. But this idea of like, why are you making it gay? No. No one here is making it gay. No one's making it like that. The gayness comes built in from like, from the thing of like. We might have found where Fallon is, and she's blushing, and she's so excited. Like more than it's his sister, right? More than life, she's like, we might have found where Fallon is because she's so desperate to find Fallon, right? Like to the point that it actively distorts her perception, right? She saw a silhouette that kind of sort of looked like Fallon a little bit, and then there was a feather, and then she instantly went, that's my girlfriend, right? Where Laios, who knows a lot more about monsters, is like, that looked a lot more like a griffin to me. And then when it turns out it's not Fallon, she's like, okay, I'm gonna fucking kill you for that because she's upset that it wasn't Fallon. Like, no, you don't have to read it as gay, and certainly textually it isn't quite. But to say that there's nothing there is it is a form of willful blindness. It's a form of willfully obstinate blindness that is just really annoying and really tedious to deal with. And homophobic, also, low-key. Like, it's not... I don't see it that way. That's fair. That is always fair. Like, I don't read it that way. It doesn't read like that to me. Completely okay. Everyone has the right to that feeling. And that's not homophobic to say, either, that, like, okay, to me, this doesn't read as romantic. That's fine. But to say, oh, that isn't romantic, or it shouldn't be romantic, or if you're reading this as romantic, then you're devaluing their friendship. No, fuck off. That's homophobia, and you can fuck off with that. No, absolutely not. Because, like, motherfucker, watch the show. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. the hair thing is. God, I need to talk about the hair thing with Marcille. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Pause again. Liars. Um, notice how creating creatures is like cooking, is like you gather all the ingredients in the pot and then you do a set of specific actions to it, and then what comes out of that mixing of ingredients into a thing is like, oh, now you've made a creature, you've made life. Notice that? Oh yeah, hey, it's like it's almost like it's the cooking a meal and doing magic are kind of similar things thematically speaking. Is that they're, again, this is something we saw with the revival when Marcille was reviving Fallon, right? Like out of the dragon's corpse, this thing of like, in order to make a new body, in order to make life, in order to revive someone, things like that, you need a source of calories, you need a source of energy, in the same way that you do when you eat something in order to, right? And we've talked about the ways in which like consuming things connect people to one another, and everyone becomes connected by shared consumption of each other, of things around them, of like sharing meals, things like the ways that all of that ties together. It ties together everything in Dungeon Meshi. Like the whole central theme of the whole thing is eating and consumption, and the connection that comes from eating and being eaten, and like becoming part of something by consuming it, and making it a part of you by consuming it, and becoming part of one another by consuming things together, right? And so the fact that that also ties into just like the fundamental function of certain parts of the magic system is interesting. And the cutting of the hair as well. Like the hair for Marcille is such an interesting part of the magic system also, that it's so intricately tied to the way that she does magic. Like there's a reason why she constantly has like all of these elaborate hairstyles that she keeps her hair in, because her hair is really important to the way that her magic functions, right? And so for this summoning ritual, in order to make a creature that's under her control, she has to add a piece of herself to it, right? Like this thing about consumption and consuming and becoming part of one another, right? That she adds a piece of herself to the casting, to the recipe, right? In order to create life, in order to create a creature. It's just, Dungeon Meshi is so thematically coherent, it drives me insane. Like it's so strongly themed, and it's so coherent in its ideas and the way that they all fit together and flow into one another, and the ways that the themes reinforce each other. It's maddening. Like it's Ryuko Kui is just one of the best to ever do it, as a writer, as an artist, as a character designer. We've talked about this before. It's so impressive, and it's so interesting. It feels so complete as a narrative, as a story, Dungeon Meshi, especially by the time we get to the end. It feels so thought through in such a special and interesting way. God, I love this. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Good questions. Ay, 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 ay. Laios is a character designer. Oh, the animation. Oh my fucking god. Oh. Ay, 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 ay. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about the animation of this sequence. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Jesus! Okay, hang on, hold on. Jesus Christ. Also, just. Oh, poor Laios. He was so excited. uh and like the extra little thing of like in the background of as he has his expectations shattered, right? Oh, shattered pillars because of like we're letting the environment reflect the interiority of the characters. Like, oh, that's good storytelling. And again, this world building thing of like, hey, hang on, when you have like the visual information from something else inside your head that doesn't match what your body is feeling, what your own like nervous system is feeling, yeah, you're gonna get motion sick real fucking fast. And I do love that we sort of get into like Laios the monster freak, right? That this is someone who has thought so deeply about all of this already. And so we get this sequence, right? Like this little sequence of animation where as he's shaping the monster, we're not just doing a simple of like zip, 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 zip. Like there's an anime way to stylize this. Like when a character is working on something where you just kind of you zoom out and they just kind of go digga digga dick digga digga dick digga digga dick, right? Like it's like that sequence of like when in animation when a character's building something, right? And they'll come along with a hammer and they'll just kind of go digga digga dick digga digga dick digga dick, and then it's finished, right? Like that's this sort of classical way to portray a character building or finishing something in that way. When it's just a matter of like we don't really care about the process of how they finish it, we just care that it gets finished. That's kind of the way that you tend to stylize that. That's not this sequence here. Laios making this monster, right? It's don't take it the wrong way, but it's sensuous, right? Like in the sense that the visual language of this moment focuses on the sensation of Laios doing this, right? Like it focuses on the physical action that he's taking, and it attempts visually to portray how it feels to do it, right? Because this for Laios, like it's not just a casual thing for him making a monster like this, right? Like expressing his interior obsession in this way is like a meditative thing, right? Like it's an expression of something that's deeply interior to him. So we get this focus on the physical act of the shaping that he does. And I really like that as again as an expression of Laios as a character, right? That for him, this is not just let's just put something together. For him, this is an act of shaping that's like meaningful to him, right? Like that matters to him, that expresses something about him as a person. And I love the animation of that little critter. Like the weight, right? Like when it takes off, it's not just that it takes off from her hand. See, like it does this little anticipation, and you can see that as it takes off, as it like puts the pressure down in order to jump, you get this equal and opposite reaction, right? From Marcille, where she has to brace her muscles in order to give it the lift. And she sends it off like that, and there's like the sense of weight on this little thing as it like jumps into the air, starts falling, and then flaps in order to take off. And then we get A lovely little speed flying sequence. And again, clearly the A-team working on this one, because even the grabbing of the rope by Senshi, right? Like, you can see it's like he breaks free, he jumps for the rope. You can see that happening off screen. Look how much light and shading are on his hands, right? Like, and like this double action of like grabbing it with the offhand and then the main hand sort of snapping it out of the air like that, holding onto it. Like a really elaborate rendition of that action. And the griffin, like this extreme foreshortening, like distorting its claw so heavily into it, like to really emphasize the difference in scale between the two things. And then this. You can see the differential animation timing working overtime here, right? Where the background is moving on ones, the griffin is moving on like sort of ones and twos, depending on how much it needs to move. Like here, it's moving on ones, right? Whereas the little bird is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Is like they're differentiating the animation timings in all kinds of, like, not just one of the moves on the one frame, one of the moves on the other frame, but like really varying it up and really separating out the animation timings to carefully manage the pace and motion of each of the actors in the scene, and they're doing it into this like extreme foreshortening, right? Like it's not just that we're seeing the critter fly through the claws, it's that we have this point of view camera basically positioned right in the middle of the action. So we have this three-dimensional movement of the critter, the little familiar, like away from the camera and through the claws, and the claw itself distorting and distorting and distorting and really getting into the perspective as it approaches our point of view. I don't know how to express to you how fucking impressive a piece of animation this little sequence alone is. Making this shot work and work that well in motion, right? That's fucking incredible. Especially these fucking bird claws. Like, because those aren't like hands, right? Like, hands, when you want to foreshorten them, it's like, okay, these have like a fairly uniform structure, right? Like, you have the hand, which is kind of like a wedge. You have the fingers, which are these tubes that have a fairly, like, uniform length and density and, like size. No, these bird claws are all fucked up little fucking sausage finger things with claws on the end, like, that sit at the end of this nub of a thing, like these very that's a fucking gnarly shape to have to animate in a way that looks good, and they make it look this fucking good. Is just like the A-team is working on this one, and they're working hard. It's like that fucking little claw swipe there with just barely makes it through the fingers. Fuck me, that's cool. And then, like, as it goes through, the turbulence of it tumbling it over in the air, so we get all these like speed lines crisscrossing in every which direction over the motion of the bird, along with like this doubling of the wings, right? Like you can see like wing bits of the bird that are sort of like scattered across the screen to express the way that it's like rapidly flapping in order to sort of get back its bearings, right? So quick, but it works so beautifully. And then this fucking sequence too. Again, with this, like, playing with the camera extremely into, like, this close following. What a gorgeous fucking shot. As, like, we essentially construct the pillar as ground, right? This is essentially a shot of a bird flying low and fast over some ground. So you can see the snowflakes and the pillar are, like, each moving on twos, but they're moving on their own, like, timings that occasionally overlap. in order to make the motion of the ground feel very, very smooth, right? Like the ground under the bird. And then we have the thing itself, the familiar, coming down, and we have these speed lines, right? Like they have the shadow that it's casting on the pillar, and then we apply these speed lines to it to sort of emphasize just how fast it's going up this pillar. And then we have the fucking claw entering from right next to the camera perspective and absolutely slamming in. And again, this like barely in the nick of time dodge. And then as the bird, the familiar, leaves the little cloud of debris and smoke, oh yeah, just to flex, just to be a little bit extra, we're also going to add like these spiraling, trailing dust trails to the end of the little familiar's wings, just to make it look even fucking cooler as it like barrel rolls its way out of that. And then like this push in with the camera close to the pillar, just passing ever so slightly over the familiar. Like this sense that the camera is in flight next to the things that are actually like next to the action that's actually happening is like that's a technique and a trick that you'd get in like a fucking Top Gun movie, right? Like that's how you film a Top Gun movie, is like you have this camera that's very active and part of the action and like pushing in close on shit. Like that's how you film a dogfight. But instead of filming it like with a camera or doing it with CGI, where you can sort of like have these extreme camera motions and the software will kind of take care of the scaling and everything, these motherfuckers are doing this shit by hand. Like whatever principal animator was working on this fucking shot, what a fucking craftsman. Birds, as far as I'm aware, don't really drool. I don't know if birds have spit even inside of their beaks. I don't know if that's a thing, but we're just adding it here as a detail to sort of dramatize the danger of what's about to happen. And again, using these like this little shock of speed lines to emphasize the snap of the beak. Right? And you can see here, as the beak snaps, we get this hold, right? Where for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. For like 7 frames, nothing happens, right? We just get this frame shaking, which helps the action to read, right? Like this helps when we have this sudden change, right? Like we have this change from we're here, then we get this like 3-frame hold on this, like, oh my god, the bird, like the little familiar is almost getting eaten. And then boom, and then we hold on that for 7 frames to give the eye time to read it. Right? Like not for a long time, just enough time that your eye can kind of like, imagine if that had been only 1 frame instead. It would have been blink and you'll miss it. Like you would have not been able to see the action at all. But we hold on that for like 7 frames to give us precisely enough time to read what's happening without slowing the scene down. We immediately move on to like this dramatic dive down under the fucking griffin. Because again, the animator is just flexing. So the animator is not only gonna do this fucking camera move, we're gonna animate this complex fucking lion bird ass motherfucking thing in an extreme perspective while the familiar is just speeding away through its fucking legs. And like you can see the back leg coming into frame like a fucking tree trunk during the speeder chase on Yavin, or not Yavin, what the fuck's the name of the planet where the Death Star shield generator is with the little with the little fur creatures in episode 3 of Star Wars? That one, the speeder chase on that planet. Like, come the fuck on, man. Studio fucking Trigger. And this is a very like Trigger. I've freaked the fuck out about so much of the animation in Frieren, right? But one thing the animation in Frieren doesn't do, because that's not what Madhouse wanted from like the Frieren anime. These extreme distortions, these extreme stylizations that Trigger are so fond of in the way that they animate, that's a very Studio Trigger thing. That's a very Gainax thing as well. Like a bunch of the animators who came from Gainax sort of brought that with them to Trigger. And it's like, you only get that from this fucking studio. Can you imagine drawing this? Can you imagine holding in your head as a 2D animator, holding in your head the volume and the physical form of this griffin and being able to stylize and distort it extremely into the perspective in this way? Just the fucking bird claws, right? The little subtle rotation that the animator is like hand animating as the camera swoops a little bit into this, and they're like, and the other thing, like the management of details, right? Like this is the swipe of the lion claws that's about to kill the familiar. And notice how the level of detail shifts, right? Like right now it's fairly low. Like we get these like harsh dark shadows and like a lot of volumetric lighting on it. But as we get closer and closer and closer, there, you can see that shift, right? In the volume and the rendering of detail until we get up to the real close one, where they're like really fucking, they're rendering every fold, every flap, every bit, every fur tuft, everything on it is being rendered very, very heavily as we get into the dramatic, like, snap. God, what a fucking sequence. Laios. Laios. Fully an 8-year-old sketching the coolest monster he can think of in class and coming up with a Yu-Gi-Oh ass little motherfucker. My Giga two-headed flame ice dragon, no! It's this thing of like, Laios has this obsession with monsters that is fundamentally childish, right? That's an important part of his character, is that his obsession with monsters isn't like, oh yes, I'm a scientist, I have made a serious study of like the art of monster no, this is childish, right? Like this is a child's obsession with a favored subject. Like there's a reason, like, and the show doesn't really judge him for it. Like it's portrayed as like a little bit silly and a little bit cringe sometimes, the way that he is, but he isn't really judged for it. The show doesn't make him a dipshit moron idiot who doesn't know anything. Like, oh yeah, his stupid monster obsession is a hindrance that causes problems. Like, no, it's not. His monster obsession is an incredibly important tool, right? Like something that saves the party over and over and over again. It's like an incredibly valuable, useful part of his character, that he has this monster obsession, that he has this encyclopedic knowledge, that he has this deep engagement with the ecology and the nature of the monsters in the dungeons, right? Like that's an incredibly valuable part of him. And also it's childish, right? Like also it's kind of childish and dorky, and he has this obsession with like cool monsters that are maximally badass, right? My Giga two-headed flame ice dragon, right? Like that he has this a certain level of naivete around monsters that is tempered against his extreme seriousness around monsters, right? Because like when it's time to fight a monster, Laios, he'll take a second to be like, oh my god, it's so cool, and then he'll kill it, right? Like then he will fucking, I know where the weak point is and I'm gonna stab it in it, right? Like no hesitation, no nothing. It's an interesting part of his character, right? That there is this childish excitement, this schoolboy power fantasy for him in the way that he thinks of the monsters as like this embodiment of power and strength and coolness and like completeness that he seems to like really be seeking, and that he gets a lot of fulfillment out of playing with. But then on the other hand, when it's time to actually deal with a monster, business mode, right? Like instantly swaps over to, okay, I got to take this seriously. And we see this even like with the griffin when he kills it after Marcial successfully brings it down from the sky. And I do like that the creation of Marcial's final monster is fully Sailor Moon, right? Like fully in some Sailor Moon visual imagery. But again, notice the visual language here. Much like the creation of Laios, like when he was making the little dragon creature. Marcial's creation of the final shape of the monster she's going to use, there's also this great focus on the sensuousness of hands caressing a form, right? Of like this physical act of shaping something into a form that she desires it to be in. And the animator is going off here with this hand animation, let me tell you. Like, if this was moving over anything other than a silly little sort of half-joke creature like this would be erotic, right? Like in almost any other context, someone moving their hands like that over the form of anything and framed like that with this extreme close-up, like really focusing on the motion of the fingers, that would be in almost any other context considered erotic. Not here, but there is still that same appreciation of sensuousness that we got with Laios. And then the way they animate this little fucking thing as like a bolt of lightning. Like the anticipation wind up here, as you can see, it's charging up power in its body. Like it's charging up that spring-like tension that then gets unleashed as it turns into a lightning bolt again. Yush. And again, that little hold, right? Like we get the dish, 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 and then we hold. And then whoosh. Right through the wing. And again, Laios, right? Like, this mixture of... He thinks this griffin is so fucking cool, he wants to do nothing more than just observe it and play with it. But it's also a dangerous monster. It's a dangerous animal. It needs to be dealt with, so... One strike, one kill. Right into the weak spot. No nonsense whatsoever. What a fucking fantastically animated sequence. Holy shit. Anyway, let's finish the episode. 3, 2, 1, go. Aww. Three, 2, 1, pause. I know I said we were just going to finish it, but no, we're not. What a framing. You okay, Senshi? Right, so we talked about... Did I talk about it? Did I talk about that in the first version of this thing? Where I didn't... No, I think I didn't actually talk about it because I talked about that in the first version that I didn't record. Okay, so... Character design-wise, right? We talked about Senshi, the way that he represses emotion, he represses his feelings, he doesn't want to express them. At least in this instance, he doesn't want to express his feelings, he wants to repress them, pull them in. Senshi as a character, like this is something that this episode points out, Senshi has been kind of withholding with details about himself, right? Like, who is he? Where did he come from? Why does he have all this gear? How has he been in the dungeon for 10 years if it was only discovered 6 years ago? Like, there's all this mystery about him, right? And Senshi's character design itself also has some elements that support this, like the huge, enormous beard, right? And the helmet that sort of shows his eyes and his nose, but really withholds most of his face from the audience. It's not like a sinister kind of holding back, right? It's not a disguise, right? Like, he's not hiding himself, but it is a character design that sort of says, okay, this is someone who's like not cutting their hair, right? Like, this is someone who's not cutting their hair, who's always, always, always wearing a helmet, which is like a piece of armor, which is like a piece of defense, and who's always hiding a certain portion of their face, who's not quite showing all of themselves, right? And who's always kind of covered up. Like, the huge beard and the huge hair, especially, is like, it's a good piece of character design to do if you want a character who's like hiding a lot of stuff inside, then having a bunch of things that sort of conceal parts of their face. Like, compare and contrast to the idea of Senshi completely clean shaven, never wearing a helmet, right? Like, that's a very different vibe. That's a very different kind of character. With the helmet, with the huge beard, he becomes sort of a little bit of a gremlin character, right? Like, rather than a full person, he's a bit more of like a little dungeon critter, right? Rather than being like, oh, this is like fully looks like a person. This looks a little bit like a silly fantasy dwarf, kind of, right? Like, there's an element of costuming about it that not necessarily in terms of anything that it says canonically about Senshi. Like, canonically, Senshi has his reasons, but the vibe, the feeling of Senshi as a character the first time you see him is not, oh, here's a very like complicated, fully formed human being, dwarf in this case. The vibe is, oh, funny dungeon goblin man, funny little gremlin man who lives in the dungeon and who's obsessed with bread. Ha ha ha. Like, the character design helps foster that engagement with him. And like, look how much he changes just when he takes the helmet off. Look how different that feels. Let me see if I can find. Was there another shot of him nearby we could use? Like, to that, right? With like these conspicuously perfectly round eyes, with this like the circle pupils in the center of them. How different does that feel? Right? How much more complex? How much more human? How much more emotion do you feel from this relative to that? And the helmet is a part of that. The helmet is a part of what makes him a little cartoony all the time, relative to the more complex person who's underneath there somewhere. It's like, it's good. Not that we've never seen Senshi without the helmet, but in this scene specifically, the act of taking off the helmet, revealing something of himself underneath, right? And the way that he's also, like, here, he's half in shadow, half in light, being like classic visual signifier of a character who's like about to expose something about themselves. Like, it's just good character design. It's just good goddamn character design. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Sky fish and chips. You're eating something of Marciel's hair there, by the way. Senshi refusing food? Reasons, huh? God, just the vulnerability. Oh, character design. Character design. Hey, look, that helmet looks familiar. Oh my fucking god, character design. Again, like Ryuko Kui, she's so fucking good at character design. That's a familiar looking helmet, isn't it? Just look at them. Look at the fucking difference in the way that these motherfuckers are rendered, right? They're all dwarves, right? Like they're all just different species of stereotypical fantasy dwarf, but like look at that. Look at the difference, man. Just like the complete angularity of this guy, right? Like just like carved out of stone almost, right? And then we have like fucking Thorin Oakenshield over here, like all gruff and like with like the braided beard and thing. And then we have this guy straight out of a fucking Saturday morning cartoon from the 1970s, right? Like with the little no mustache neck beard thing, and like the huge round nose. And this guy, we're really playing around with eyes again because of the prospector thing, and then baby Senshi. Remember I talked about the ways in which like letting himself grow wild, right? Like letting himself like compare and contrast with just how clean shaven and well managed he is as a kid, right? Very neatly coiffed hair. Like, and he's young, obviously, so there's not a hair on his face yet, but you can sort of see the difference in what that says about the way that he has been living since this point, right? And just like his fucking expressions and his face. Right? Again, now with the helmet removed, now he's no longer doing the big circle eye thing. Now his eyes are complex, right? Like, because again, Senshi has been a bit of a cartoon character, right? Like, he has been a bit of a dungeon gremlin. So now that we're about to complicate him, now that we're about to dive into his interiority, the character design complicates accordingly, right? Hey, Senshi. That little, just like going from like this closed eye to opening with the eyes in shadow, then looking over at Chilchuck. And like Chilchuck with like a surprising amount of like complex emotional intelligence here. Like not just demanding that Senshi tell, like, what's your deal? Tell us everything about you. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, but offering, right? I'm offering something of myself, an ingredient to this little stew. Could you offer something to sort of put this together as well? And then I have a wife and kid, but for reasons I haven't seen them in a while. And when he says reasons, it's like, oh no, yeah, I bet there's some fucking reasons, Chilchuck. Anyway, profile picture alert. A wife and kids? What? Even the way his hair is rendered and his beard, right? Even the way that that's rendered has become less cartoony. When he's in his helmeted form, as it were, it's a little bit more sort of, it's a little bit more cartoony. It's a little bit less voluminously rendered a lot of the time. But now that he's fully like exposed as a complex person, you get this much more like complex layered beard on him, right? Because the whole character is becoming more complex before our very eyes. And the character design is supporting it. And it's so fucking good. Oh, it's good at characters. And the show is so good at character design. Fuck. Jesus Christ. It's so good at character. I wrote a post about Ryuko Kui's approach to character design that went sort of semi-viral on Tumblr a while back, and like I need to turn that into a full video, don't I? I fucking need to do a video about the character design in Dungeon Meshi. I really do. The anime is over now. Well, no, it's not. It's not over. But then, see, the thing is, I kind of need the anime to be finished because the things I want to talk about includes like there's some stuff that happens later that's kind of important to the points I want to make, but I don't want to spoil shit for anyone. So, and I don't want to make it just about like I don't want to make the video and then open it like spoilers for like the entire like. I don't want to do that. I want the audience to be able to watch it when it's there, and it's which means I have to wait, and it frustrates me. Anyway, self-promotion, right? You can become a member of the channel. You get early access to these episodes as I record them. Everyone else has to wait a few days for them to drop. And also another things I do on the channel, and you get Discord access. And also, I added a new tier to the memberships, which is I've copied it over from Patreon, which is I don't remember exactly. I think it's more or less $10 a month. You can get character design feedback on a design of your own on the channel Discord from me. If that's something, because some people occasionally reach out to me and say, "Hey, could you give me feedback on my character design?" I'd love to do that, but a lot of people ask me, and I am already disorganized and overworked and bad at keeping up with schedules. So if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna have to get paid for it because I've got bills to pay. So if you want feedback on a character design, that's available as a tier on Patreon. You can go there. I'll get a little bit more for the money if you do that, or you can get it here as a membership thing on YouTube if you want to combine that with getting early access to things. So that's there. You can use that if you want. You don't have to, though. It's completely fine. I have a merchandise store, blah, 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 etc. Engagement, like, comment, other things. Goodbye.